Okay, everybody, so this is another update here real quick on the progress of the game. I haven't been recording as much of me coding things. It's been more or less as I've wanted to actually sit there and listen to music while programming, and when I'm recording I can't do that because of YouTube's copyright system. Um, so what has changed, at least what I think has changed, I might be a little bit wrong on this between the last video, is that I now have more GUI components and I've been working on auto scaling and various things. So if I resize the GUI, it'll actually change sizes here without changing the component size too much. It does scale the components just a little bit. It is hard to kind of tell. But we've got some components here. So the bottom left here is the item selection dialog. This will be used to pan through the items in your character's inventory to select if you want to throw a grenade. Or actually, grenades will be on the right, but this will be your med kit, say like endurance, activatables, anything that would be item based that you have to activate to use. The right side is going to be all of your attackable type stuff, your grenades, flamethrowers, lightning claws, anything that would do damage. So your conventional guns, of course, and your swords and weapons, your knives and stuff. There is going to be no switch delay in the game, so you could just pretty much grab whatever weapon you want and attack with it. I don't know if we'll put limits on this, but right now there's no limits. The right-hand side here is going to be the enemies. So this is the enemies that you currently know exist, not just necessarily the ones you can see, but the ones that exist. It just gives you some kind of indication that how many bad guys you have left to fight. Though when it comes to the actual game, you won't have to kill everybody. Just as a note, we're actually going to be designing this so that way you can go through an entire campaign without murdering people. That'll come into play when I add the ability bar down at the bottom. You'll be able to intimidate and capture people using the ability bar. Your ability bar is also going to contain your attack and stuff. And for some reason, I've got my attack cursors rendering. I don't know why. On the top left here is your unit list. Now, these arrows may go away on the unit list. It depends on how I want to do this. Right now, all three of these ones use the same template as after all of what you guys can see. They're pretty much identical to each other. This is a prefab where you literally just call I want like so many buttons and then I want arrow keys on them and it renders. These will be fed by arrays that will then keep track of your items and stuff. But this will keep track of your units, and right now we have 4 units. I've actually moved them now. I would move them around the screen right now, but I've changed the controls around. Right now there's no movement key and there's no attack key right now, so I can't actually do anything. What I have done, the reason why I changed those keys, is if I hold shift and hold right click, I can drag the screen around. This code actually went together a lot easier than I thought it was going to go together, but it actually makes moving around a lot easier because you can do this. If you also have noticed, since the last time we now have new textures. This is stone here and this is road here. These are both made by Morton. They are prototype textures. We're going to be working on them more. Right now they look okay. They'll get the job done. How the render system is going to work is that these are the backgrounds of the tiles. There will then be some pseudo-random going on to make the textures not look identical. On top of that, there'll be a border system that'll be implemented via metadata. We have confirmed that we're going to have a maximum of 32,000 tiles for the map. We're not going to be using 32,000 tiles. Most of those are going to be left open for modders and plugin makers to implement. And we're going to have 256 values of metadata. So where Minecraft has 16 meta value entries and then you're limited to 4,096 block entries. Because we're a 2D game, we can afford a lot more room for our map data, so we're going to go ahead and do that. But our map data is going to be used for other things. So where tile entities in Minecraft store extra data for complicated stuff, this game is going to use metadata a lot more to store complicated logic. That way we don't have to create a separate system. So you'll have something like a piston and it'll have a rotation value, which will be stored in the metadata, then it'll have an extend value stored in the metadata. For our border system, that'll be one layer of the metadata, so we'll have a border which will render like an edge on here. Since this is a road, it'll be like a white line will be on the edge, and then there'll be a dotted line in the middle to show that this actually does look like a road. There'll be various other things going on, and pretty much it for the moment. I got to get some more work done in here. The next thing I'm probably going to work on is actually making these clickable. If you notice that they don't really do anything. They render right now, they do exist, and of course they do scale properly. And that's pretty much it. If I actually do scale this, you can actually notice that the components do hug the side perfectly. until you get below the minimum. I still got to set the minimum size. To be honest, I can get these to hug properly, because what's going on with the minimum size, the reason why when you drag like this, that it breaks, is the code assumes that the minimum size is a certain value, and it's not supposed to go below that, and as soon as you drag it back out, the components re-show back up. But that's it pretty much. I'll have more of these videos later.